into my eyes and tell me you want me. Tell me you'd kill for me. Anything I want.
Alright guys, so I can sum up the Sinister Seductress in basically one sentence. No straight male hero wants to be seduced by another male. I mean, that's basically it. But let's just do some research on this, because I know that's what you guys probably want. And this is to Anita. Anita, if you watch my video, I want you to understand that human beings, especially in art, have a duality about them. There's good and evil. Both genders will have stories portraying them as good or bad. You need to stop focusing on the bad.
id Software's 2004 game Doom 3 took the basic concept of their earlier Doom titles, a space marine single-handedly fighting his way through hordes of demonic abominations, but it used the vastly improved computer graphics of its time to create a moodier, scarier tone. Along with the reimagined environments, sharper textures, and more atmospheric lighting effects, the creative team also designed some unsettling new monsters for this latest confrontation with the forces of hell. One of those new monsters was the Vagary, a monstrosity with the upper half of a naked woman and the lower half of a giant spider, who also happens to be pregnant with a demon fetus in her abdomen.
Well, Anita, I really hate to break this to you, but males can't be pregnant with demon fetuses. So, unless they decided to change the entire plot of this game to where there was no demon fetus and there was no Spider Woman, I mean, what else would you want them to do? How else would they get that demon fetus there? I mean, transvestite god, or not even a transvestite, a fucking hermaphrodite god comes down or something? I mean, what do you want from these people? Or even better, would you rather have the spider lady be like gender neutral and it's like, look guys, I want you to use my gender pronouns while we're fighting here. You better fucking say they, them.
It's no mistake that the Vagary blends female sexuality and fertility with elements designed to be unsettling or horrifying. The book The Making of Doom 3 reveals that the game's creative team summed up the driving concept for the Vagary with the equation sexy plus gross equals creepy.
Which is a concept that's been used throughout history. And yes, way back in the day, what she's about to tell you, that was used mainly for women because most heroes were straight and they didn't want to be seduced by a male. But seduction and persuasion are not gender specific to women. Especially nowadays, Doom was made in 2004. Nowadays, we have sexy plus gross equals creepy men on television, in movies. I mean, we have this everywhere now. This game was made fucking, 12 years ago?
What the makers of Doom 3 may not have realized is that this equation was in no way new, original, or innovative. On the contrary, by singling out the Vagary, the only female enemy in the game, for her gender and using this to make her uniquely repulsive, the designers were participating in a very long tradition of creating female creatures who function to demonize femaleness itself.
Okay, if you're only going to talk about the bad side of how women were portrayed in media or culture or art throughout history, I'm going to talk about the good side. And I know these pictures are going to come out a little fuzzy. It's because I'm having to zoom in. I don't have the best equipment. So here we have Abaya, I think that's her name, Abaya or possibly Abia, the nurse of Helios, a son of Hercules or Heracles. She built a temple of Heracles in Era. I don't know how to say that. Messenia, I'm not sure. Afterwards, she was honored in various other ways, and also by the changing of the name of the town Ira to Abaya or Abia. And here we have Argathon. Argathon. I wonder if she likes reggaeton. Man, I really do not know how to say these names. Anyway, this lady was known for being a huntress. She liked to be outdoors a lot. This dude named, I guess, Rhesus was attracted to her because of her fame for being outdoorsy and her beauty. He succeeded in winning her love. They got married. He went to Troy, got slain, and then she starved herself in grief. So, I mean, here we have someone famous for being a strong, outdoorsy, I guess, independent woman. I mean, obviously, she's cherry picking because you can find stuff for both sides of good and evil. Like I said in the beginning, for men and women, you can find stuff for good and evil throughout art. And I'm just putting this on here because I thought it was kind of funny. I guess Eurymediosa, Zeus approached her and seduced her in the form of an ant. And she may have also been transformed into an ant. But as you can see, Zeus just seduced this woman, and Zeus is a fucking player in Greek mythology. He seduces a lot of women, and it's not always for the best. So is he a sinister seductress or a sinister seducer? Oh, you were talking about math equations earlier. How about Sinister Sudoku? That's what men can be because we're better than women.
To understand how such characters function, we actually need to venture back a few millennia, to time when myth and folklore were part of how people interpreted and made sense of the world. Just as modern media both reflects and shapes our culture today, those ancient stories weren't simply meaningless entertainment in their own time. They reflected and reinforced cultural values. Sadly, misogyny has been part of cultures for the past few thousand years, and the myths and folktales of those cultures reflect that, with female creatures and monsters who represented beliefs that women are inherently deceptive, manipulative, or evil.
My segment earlier just disproved everything she said. She's obviously cherry picking. There are plenty of mythologies painting women in a good light.
In his book Misogyny, The World's Oldest Prejudice, Jack Holland explores this through the story of Pandora from Greek mythology. The first woman, Pandora, was created by Zeus specifically to punish humanity after Prometheus stole fire from the gods.
Here we have an account of Pandora. She was the giver of all and endowed with everything. The name of the first woman on earth. When Prometheus had stolen the fire from heaven, Zeus in revenge caused Hephaestus, I don't know how to say that, to make a woman out of earth, who by her charm and beauty should bring misery upon the human race. Aphrodite adorned her with beauty. Hermes gave her boldness and cunning. The definition of cunning is achieving one's ends by deceit. She wasn't just created deceitful, she had to learn it from a man god. Even in this account, it says she was taught deceit from other gods. And I know that may be nitpicky, but Anita's being nitpicky, and if she's not going to bring it up, I'm going to bring it up.
She's given a sealed jar and told to never open it. But because Zeus designed her to be evil and lacking in morals or manners, of course she does open it.
God, you fucking lying cunt. Let's go back to the story. The story actually reads that Pandora was given to Prometheus' brother, who accepted the divine gift despite his brother's warnings. One day, out of curiosity and not out of malice, Pandora opened the lid of the jar, releasing all the evils into the world.
By doing so, she unleashes evil into the world, dooming humankind to labor, suffering, aging, illness, and death. Where else have I heard a story about the first woman doing something she's not supposed to do and being responsible for all the bad things in the world?
Well, you're talking about the Bible, and in it, Eve was deceived by the devil, and usually it's the devil who gets the blame for all the bad things that happen to humanity afterwards.
Commenting on what the tale of Pandora and others like it actually tell us about ancient Greece, Holland writes, as well as burdening Pandora with responsibility for the moral lot of man, the Greeks created a vision of woman as the other, the antithesis to the male thesis, who needed boundaries to contain her. Any history of the attempt to dehumanize half of the human race is confronted by this paradox, that some of the values we cherish most were forged in a society that devalued, denigrated, and despised women. And in his book The Gender Knot, Alan G. Johnson discusses the relationship between mythology and misogyny, saying the cultural expression of misogyny, the hatred of femaleness, takes many forms. It's found in ancient and modern beliefs that women are inherently evil and a primary cause of human misery. Products of what the Greek philosopher and mathematician Pythagoras called the evil principle which created chaos, darkness, and woman.
What do you want, an apology? I'm sorry, thousands of years ago they created this principle and they were misogynistic. That's not how it is today.
So there's a little mathematical fun fact for you. The guy who came up with the theorem you learned in geometry class wasn't just a brilliant mathematician, he was also a total misogynist.
Oh, like, holy shit, no way. This dude, like, way back in the day, like, he was misogynistic? Oh my god. I really want to know who your target audience is with this, because what idiot is going to be walking around like, hey, you know what? Pythagoras was a misogynist back in the day. You know that? And also, you lie to them. I've proven in the beginning of this video, I've proven that you lie to your audience just to manipulate them into believing what you're saying. And then who gives a shit if Pythagoras was a fucking misogynist? He's not alive anymore. I mean, we are a lot more tolerant and we are a lot more progressive now. This is the, 2016 current year?
The equation sexy plus gross equals creepy pertains not just to the vagary, but to a whole category of characters I refer to as grotesquely female. These are characters who incorporate highly gendered or sexualized elements in ways that are specifically intended to be creepy or disgusting.
Let me guess, this never happens to men.
Other examples of the grotesquely female include Diablo III Sedea, the Maiden of Lust who spouts dialogue in a sensual, seductive tone while also taking the form of a giant spider woman.
I will take great pleasure in your suffering.
Clotho, the third sister of Fate in God of War 2, has naked breasts all over her body in a way that's clearly meant to be repulsive. While in Dante's Inferno, Cleopatra's nipples release demon babies who attack the player. And, well, I don't think the footage of the boss Kaylee from Bloodforge needs any explanation.
This is the gluttony monster from Dante's Inferno. It looks like it has a bunch of penises with mouths, and then the way that it eats Dante is it shoves it up its own ass and swallows him whole so it can taste him. Any sex organ can fit into that equation. Sexy plus gross equals creepy.
Now, of course, there's no shortage of male characters in games who are meant to elicit disgust, but the unsettling nature of those characters is not tied explicitly to their gender. They don't function to suggest that maleness itself is inherently disgusting or dangerous. With these female characters, on the other hand, their grotesque nature is inextricably tied to their gender. Elements that are often presented as titillating in other contexts are twisted and made repugnant, so that their femaleness itself is what serves to make them disgusting.
Well, usually when that's done for men, it's just fat men who have fat giant tits because we don't have a sex organ for our titties. It's just we make the men fat. Alright guys, I'm gonna have to end the video here. Maybe I'll make a part 2 on this and talk about the rest of her video, but it's basically just talking about seductiveness and sexiness, and that's how it's only women, blah 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 blah. But that's it for me guys, later.